So I welcome all of you to Kalalgoda English Medium Retreat. We are going to have the question and answer session, the first question and answer session. We have received three questions. So we'll start with 3 questions. Yeah.
Bhante, this is a beginner, I guess, and she has written in detail her sitting and walking.
Right.
So shall I just read sitting first and then walking?
Yeah.
Okay. Most Venerable Bhante, I am a yogi who is new to the mindful meditation, sitting meditation. I always prefer walking meditation than sitting meditation because it is very hard for me to sense breath touching place at the nostrils. As a remedy, I take few deep breaths at the beginning to find the place where breath touches and then proceed with normal breathing. As it is hard to sense breathing, I try to focus on rising and falling of the abdomen, but that too not sensed. Only noticeable sense is the rising and falling of the diaphragm near the chest area. Is it okay to concentrate on this? If I lie down on the bed, I can very well feel the rising and falling of the abdomen, but I feel it is not the correct way. Venerable Bhante, can you kindly advise me how to proceed?
Yeah, I think, may I know who has written it? Yeah. So I think, yes, so if you can recognize this abdominal movement, so it's a good reference. It's a kind of a good object for you to continue. So because that object is not limited to one posture. You can recognize while standing, sitting, lying down, any posture you can recognize. So if you can mindfully be aware of each and every rising and falling of the abdomen, so that represent sort of say you are able to establish mindfulness there, and then say you can, once you are confident that okay, mindfulness has established fairly, then you can recognize whether how it is starting. I am talking only about the rising, say how the rising begins and how it is, you can stay there, how it is starting, how it, the middle of it and then the end of it. So likewise you can start very much like seeing the detail of that. So first of all, try to establish mindfulness using rising and falling, and once you are feeling okay, now mind has fairly established mindfulness, there are no distractions, then try to recognize subtle aspects of rising and falling. It's very similar to Anapanasati. No problem. So it actually directly take you to elements meditation. So it's a very, this is the kind of technique now very popular in Myanmar. Now more than Anapanasati, they prefer rising and falling, and using that directly take into Vipassana, the elements meditation. So you can do it at any posture. Yeah.
Walking meditation. I am practicing walking meditation mostly once in 2 days for about 20 to 30 minutes. I can concentrate on the soles touching the ground for about 10 to 15 minutes uninterrupted. I feel my foot touches the ground back, center and front all the time, other than at the turning point. One foot touches the ground and then inner side of the next foot touches first and then the whole foot. I can feel the roughness of the floor, softness when I move to the tile floor. When I hear outside noise or when I see another object, I can bring back my mind to the primary object quickly. Can you please advise me whether this is okay and how to proceed? Theruvan Saranai.
So can you pass the mic, or can you, yeah. So while walking, how long you can you can maintain that continuous mindfulness?
About 10 to 15 minutes.
10 to 15 minutes.
Yes.
After that, wandering happens.
No, after that, again I can bring back the mind goes out, but I can bring back.
Right. How long, like, I mean, roughly how long the wandering mind is there? Is it long?
Just
or
few minutes.
Just few minutes. Okay.
Yes.
Are you feeling that that wandering time become less and less, and the time that you are spending mindfully become longer and longer?
Yes, I think
Okay.
so.
Okay. So then it's no problem. So you can, the way that we can measure the success or the progress is very much using that attributes. That is, the wandering mind become less and less, but what we prefer selected as our primary object, that period of time become longer and longer. So then slowly, mind become tamed, and you are paying close attention to each and every phenomena, very much like what we discussed just now into the rising and falling.
Yeah.
First of all, using walking, what is more prominent during walking, you can use it to establish mindfulness. And once it is established, now you can recognize what are the other subtle aspects available, subtle sensations available. It's kind of deep diving into the other information. Like, hope you got the point. Anything? Yeah. Any doubts?
Yeah. Usually, my mind doesn't go to the past things and the future hopes and things. That of course not there.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But when I hear something only, that also. Mind goes, but I can take it back quickly.
Right. So that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, because here, we are trying to give more emphasis to the present moment phenomena, and if you can do it successfully, that is pretty good. Later, actually, it doesn't mean that we are completely cutting off the past and the future. But once mindfulness is established within your supervision, you can even, think, reflect about the past and about the future as well, that you can do later. But at the moment, purposely, very much like we are cutting off past and future and trying to focus more onto the present moment phenomena. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Thero and Sanai. Yeah, Thero and Sanai.
Report number 2, Theruvan Saranai, Most Venerable Bhante. I did not practice meditation for a period of about 2 months due to someone falling ill at home, and then went on a short overseas trip. But I was completely happy and not stressed at all during this time. When I started meditating today, both during the seated and walking meditation, I am finding it difficult to concentrate on the meditation, and I am getting distracted by the sounds of birds and the other things. Is this normal after a lapse in meditation? If so, how should I start again? Dear Bhante, please advise. Thank you so much. Much merit to you.
I think you can start more with the walking meditation, because immediately trying to concentrate your mind won't work, because it's there you are trying with too much effort and kind of forceful concentration, so then it won't going to help. So what you can do is relax yourself and just walk and allow the mind to wander. Doesn't matter, but time to time, when you recognize the touching sensation, when your foot is touching the ground, so it is significantly creating a kind of a signal to the brain, kind of a gross signal. Say you are experiencing maybe hardness, maybe tightness, maybe even weight of the foot, whatever it is prominent. And if you can recognize that, or consider it as a kind of a call to your mind, the wandering mind, to come back to the foot. So basically, if you are using that kind of a methodology, then slowly, allowing the mind to wander won't become an issue, because the time that you are giving more prominence is the most important thing. So then, time to time, the story become hindered, the story become disturbed, and your attention become more concentrated, and the attention become further sustained for a longer time. Ultimately, this story or whatever the distraction become, go to the background and may fade off. So therefore, immediately trying and sitting and trying to concentrate is too much. Then, because you are trying with too much effort, that too much effort, excess effort is a cause for restlessness. So that is separately mentioned in the Dhamma. Atipaggahitang viriyang uddachanu patitang samadhissa paripanto. Atipaggahitang viriyang. So that means you are putting excess effort, because now you know that you have spent 2 months, you couldn't meditate and you have wasted time. So you are, have a great urge about the practice. And now you are sitting and putting too much effort, so that too much effort itself become a cause for restlessness. Other than doing that, just accept. There are these kinds of ups and downs in our meditation. So at the moment I am admitting it, but I am happily walking. Simply enjoying the walking. So give some, some enjoyment to yourself, some relaxed state to your mind. And then as your foot touching the ground, use it as a kind of a call, a reminder to the mind to come back and stay with you. Do it in a more gentle manner, and then slowly it will start properly adhering to your order and coming back to you. And then the distraction become, weaker and weaker.
Report number 3. Can you please explain how an arahant's mind works on 5 mental aggregates? When an arahant gets sanya, what happens?
Yeah, interesting. So you have to become an arahant. So basically, these are explained in certain suttas. Vishwa, can you increase the sound volume? So there is one interesting sutta called Arahanta Sutta in I think in the Samyutta Nikaya. So here this question we can answer in 2 directions. One is the Arahant still uses the common terminology. So typical words, phrases, grammar, all what the others are using. So still he also uses. One question asked from the Buddha by a Deva, a celestial being, is why is he using like that? So the Arahant even talk, okay, I talked, and to me someone has talked. So he still uses the common terminologies, pronouns and all these common terminology, and he refer himself very much as a person, I, me. All these terminologies are being used. So one Deva, therefore coming to the Buddha and ask, so why the Arahant even used that? Is it any kind of asmimana, the conceit I am, any kind of an ego? Is it still available within him? Why is he using all these different perceptions, signs or terminologies, words, phrases? And then Buddha mentioned, yes, he can use the language, he can use the words, he know them properly, effectively, he is using them, but without adhering to them. Without taking them so concrete, without taking them so substantial or kind of something there is a kind of an essence is available. Rather, he uses it for mere communication. There's a very interesting verse Buddha is explaining. Kinasavo antima deha dari ahang vadami tipi so vadeya mamang vadanti tipi so vadeya loke samanya kusalo viditva vohara mattena so vohareya. So Buddha mentioned the Arahant, he too refers ahang vadanti tipi so vadeya. So I am mentioning this, I am talking. Mamang vadanti tipi so vadeya. He told it to me, someone has told something to me. So I, me, the terms are being used. Loke samanya kusalo viditva. So he skillfully understood the terminologies, maybe a language, any kind of a method being used for communication. He properly understood that. He really well understood that. Loke samanya kusalo viditva. Vohara mattena so vohareya. So he's merely using those terminologies, words, grammar, languages, everything for communication. That's it. So that is one area that we can look at. So Arahants, therefore we can't understand, we can't recognize. So they also use the typical terminology So if we think that when one becomes an arahant, that he has to use all the, different kind of language, all different terms, so that he want to show as a separate special person, no. So that is the beauty in a way. So if you feel that I want to behave like a special person, that means still Sakkaya Ditthi is available, Asmimana is available. So sometimes we want to, show off ourselves by using different interesting terms, and so that others may get attracted and you feel so important, and the language become kind of a marketing tool, but not with an arahant. Very unlikely. So that is one area. The other thing is, now you are asking the question with respect to perception, sanya. So this is well explained in the Kalaha Vivada Sutta as one of its key verses. Na sanya sanyi, na visanya sanyi, no pi asanyi, na vibhuta sanyi. Evang sametassa vibhuti rupang, sanya nidanahi, papancha sankha. So it's a very, very valuable verse, very interesting, and how Buddha describes Arahant's mind in terms of perceptions. Now, when the Arahant's mind is in the proper, say, unattached, non-grasping state, so Buddha mentioned, na sanya sanyi. So he is not associating the typical sanya. Typical, now if we consider our own minds, so you remember what has happened yesterday, you remember what is going on in the country, you remember the political figures, you remember your parents, you remember your children, you remember your pets, and all these names, terms, figures, images are all coming to your mind, isn't it? So these are your mind fairly crowded with all these different perceptions, the typical terms, typical images. So these are the typical perceptions. So the Arahant's mind is free from that. Na sanya sanyi. And na sanya sanyi, na visanya sanyi. On the other hand, he's not gone wrong. So his mind is in proper alignment. He's with his sharp attention. Because someone can say, okay, he has gone mad. It's not like that either. Say, if someone is not using the proper terminology, proper common sense, and the day-to-day mundane usage of the perceptions, then someone can say, okay, he's crazy, he has gone insane. So it's not like that either. Na visanya sanyi. No pi asanyi. And there is something called asanya, where the perceptions are completely very much like destroyed, completely stopped. So the mind has become almost not existent like. But here, and that is mainly using the power of the concentration. But here on the Arahant's case, it's not like that. So even if he, in the proper, without much concentration, so his mind may be free from all these perceptions, the typical perceptions. And on the other hand, he is not completely destroyed them. He can immediately switch back. Immediately he can switch back. So that's why in the previous verse, so that's why he is using the typical terms, typical terminologies, typical perceptions to communicate. So he hasn't completely destroyed them. Na nopi asanyi. And then na vibhuta sanyi. And he hasn't completely destroyed them. And so he can retake them when the necessity is there. And he hasn't stopped the arising of the perceptions merely by power of concentration. So these are the way that Buddha is explaining the Arahant's mind in terms of the perceptions. Nopi asanyi na vibhuta sanyi. Evang sametassa vibhuti rupang. And sanya nidanahi papancha sankha. So Buddha mentioned, so a person who is capable of maintaining this kind of a mindset is capable of overcoming all evan sametassa vibhuti rupang. So was capable of overcoming all the different say rupa. Rupa, and we can call it as name and form, nama rupa. So his mind is not entangled with name and form. His mind is in a proper kind of clarity. Sanya nidanahi papancha sanka. Because the perceptions, these minor marks, signs, perceptions are the root cause of mental proliferation. So you can see many areas Buddha touched here. One thing is his mind is free from all the typical mundane kind of perceptions, and he hasn't gone insane by using that, by being there. His mind is very clear, he has sharp attention. And on the other hand, say he's not completely stopped the perceptions by mere concentration. And the other thing is he hasn't completely destroyed the perceptions, he can immediately switch back to the typical terminologies. So this is the way that Buddha explained in terms of the perceptions, we can say the Arahant's mind. So if you have that, then you can be an Arahant. You can check. Actually this is, even though we attribute it to the Arahant, so it can be experienced temporarily by a Vipassana yogi, but for a short period. It is not in the pristine form, but maybe for a short period, till the Vipassana knowledges are in power. So they are properly established, then the yogi's mind may be experiencing what we are calling right now. So this, what this verse explained is something even common to a Vipassana yogi who has this capacity. But the point is, his mind may switch back to the, the typical proliferation mood, because he still has raga dosa moha. But the Arahant, he is completely free from raga dosa moha. As a result of that, his continuation of this clarity, this purity is, undisturbed. So that's the difference. So whoever asked the question, anyway, I don't know whether you get a sufficient answer. So if you want to add anything, you can participate. So you are the one asked question? Okay, interesting.
It was came during a discussion, Bhante, so right. I also didn't know to give a proper answer, but yeah. I've seen in some places, in some books, by I suppose by Loku Hamdru also saying that it doesn't go, Arahant's mind doesn't work beyond sanya or something, but I don't know whether I understood it properly, so I thought I should get it from you.
These are very interesting areas, actually, in terms of the perceptions, how we can recognize an Arahant mind. And different things are there. Now all 5 aggregates, so with respect to form aggregate, how are we going to explain the Arahant mind? With respect to feelings aggregate, how are we going to explain? With the perceptions, formations, consciousness, how are we going to explain? So by giving some, discussing these things, we get a, kind of an aim. Okay, this is the direction that we need to move forward. So that is necessary, because otherwise it is not that immediate, we were in a utter mess and then immediately we become fully enlightened and jump to this state. It is not like that. So time to time, that's why I said the Vipassana yogi also may switch to this state, the Arahant's mind state, only for a temporary period. And again, it is not in the pristine form. Maybe a little bit of shades of defilements may be available because he is not an Arahant. But the majority of the mind may be experiencing something similar. So the practice actually is to enhance that, to maximize that. So what the reasons to lose that state are the defilements. So the practice become recognizing all these subtle defilements and slowly abandoning them, so that this pure state of mind is very well maintained. So the practice becomes something like that. So you are carefully recognizing what are the disturbing factors, what are the traits or habits which are disturbing this pure state, and slowly, carefully abandoning them. So you are maintaining this pure state of mind in a more effortless manner. Previously you may be maintaining that with a lot of effort, with a lot of concentration, but slowly we need to try how we can maintain that with less effort, with less concentration, because that is the point. Because maintaining the mindset or a clear state of mind with a lot of effort is in a way a little artificial. You can't do it for a long time. But when one becomes an Arahant, So that means his state of mind is fairly effortless. Even while doing something else, his mind can't have any greed, hatred, delusion. So as a result of that, his mind, the perceptions can't be, rather we can say his mind is not entangled with these perceptions. Because the causes are not available. Raga, dosa, moha are the causes. Now the causes are not available. So likewise we can approach the question from many different directions. So very interesting area. So you can try. Yeah, so we conclude the 3 questions. If you have any other question, any contributions, any doubts, so you can discuss. Yeah.
Going back on the second question, where one yogi had said that she couldn't meditate for 2 months, and then she went on somewhere and came back and all that, but now she can't concentrate. Now, Bhante, when we do our Vipassana and when we continue our meditation, we know we develop certain skills, even when we don't get angry so often and that kind of thing. So if we do not meditate for about 6 months or 1 year, say for sickness or whatever, those skills or those qualities also will be eradicated, or not eradicated, but will it get?
So that's the interesting question. So when are we reaching a kind of an irreversible state? When are we able to reach a state which is irreversible? You are not falling back. So what's the state? Can you refer that state? So that's the minimum stream winner. So Tapan, yeah, minimum is a stream winner. So till you become a stream winner, so things can fall back. So no excuse.
It's also anicca, is it?
Yeah. That's why we need to work hard in that sense. So if we have arrived Sotapanna Phala, then probably we have some kind of a satisfaction, we can say. That's why even Buddha mentioned that. Say when one arrived Sotapanna Phala, he can be really happy because he completely overcome the hell realm. And there are several benefits actually Buddha mentioned. So he can be happy about when one arrived Sotapanna Phala. So he is completely rid of the hell realm, all the the unfavorable states and all those kinds of things. So certain things are there. So till that, another 2 exceptions actually we can consider here. Saddhanusari and Dhammanusari. So Saddhanusari and Dhammanusari, the only thing is the next life is fairly definite. You are not born into the hell realm. And you need to continue the practice. Unfortunately, if in case something go wrong, still the coming back could happen. Because the understanding is not yet complete. It's very much like you are faithfully either understanding Buddha's teaching or through the reasoning you are understanding Buddha's teaching. And you are developing fair amount of faculties as well. So therefore, both are happening parallel very much like. You are developing the faculties. Faculties means Saddha, Viriya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. And if the faith faculty is more prominent and you faithfully trust the Buddha's teaching, so you can become a Saddhanusari. And while developing the 5 faculties, if your wisdom faculty is more prominent, you become a Dhammanusari. So the advantage is your next life is fairly definite, that you won't be reborn in a hell realm. But after that, not definite. And the Sotapanna only is the most definite, coming to a most definite level. So he is not fallen back to the, to the mundane type of, say, most worldly type of situation. So till that, helpless. Yeah. He may revert. Yeah. So the question is, if you are not born into a Buddhist family, you mean being a Sotapanna? Or what? Dhammanusari. No, can't. The thing is, here Saddhanusari means that he has the faith on the Buddha. Buddha as the fully enlightened person, not that you are being faithful to another religious leader. So the quality, now here it is not, we need to take it say only the Buddha is the so-called teacher or something like that. Rather, what we are referring as Buddha, we can say the complete fulfillment of the mind or complete eradication of the defilements in the human mind. So it is not that uniquely we are trying to boost the Buddhism. As a religion, if you are telling in that terms, that is wrong. So the Buddha is a human being who overcome all the defilements and he become kind of a unique person. So and as a religious leader, he become a religious leader later by the other followers. But he understood the defilements and he overcome them. Then he become an acharya manussa, acharya puggala. So you can't label any name to him. So he has gone beyond that labeling system. So now you are having faith on such figure. We can't say a name, you can't say even a figure, you can't say a person, but that state of mind we can say. A person who is completely free from defilements, whose mind has come to complete unconditioned nature. So the person is having that kind of an aim in one's own mind. So how I am trusting such a capacity within ourselves. At the moment, maybe my mind is defiled, but through the Buddha's teaching, say you are understanding, okay, such potential is available, and now you are very much like trusting that capacity within you. So it is not like completely external figure that we are trying to boost and recognize as the Buddha. That is also one aspect. But other than that, so you recognize, okay, such capacity, at least to some extent, available within ourselves as human beings, and trusting that it is possible. So Buddha has given the path, the methodology, and by properly practicing that, yes, you are capable of achieving it. So you have that trust. So that I feel is a more profound kind of faith. So it's very unlikely that you get that kind of a faith to another religious leader, because they are, I don't know, I haven't done an in-depth analysis of all the religions. I don't have the capacity to give a proper, that kind of an analysis. But in general we can say, so Buddha is in that sense unique, where he is talking about the suffering, the cause of suffering, and the cessation of suffering, and a path leading to the cessation of suffering. So such teaching is not available in the other teachers in a way. And he himself has arrived that state, and he lived that state. He embodied that. It is not mere theoretical, philosophical teaching. He has lived that state practically. So likewise, many salient features are there, prominent features are there. So therefore, having trust on the Buddha is something here we are referring as a Saddhanusari. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is the typical terminology being used. So when one becomes a Sotapanna, so among the 10 fetters, so you overcome 3 fetters. The personality view, Sakkaya Ditti, Vicikicca, the doubt, and the Silabbata Paramasa, rituals and observances. And so the rituals and observances in the sense, say, believing that, okay, you are completely trusting, you are completely depending on these rituals and observances, thinking that they will give you the complete purification. So certain external rituals, observances, by merely observing all those different external behaviors, if you think, okay, I can become purified, so that very much like a kind of a misbelief. So any Sotapannas who can verify?
Thero Bhante, I have a question. When you start meditating, you sort of find that you lose interest in other things in the sense like your country and religion, the rights of the Buddhists, and what Father Jerome de Silva says. So, don't you, I mean, is that happens, right?
Has to.
Yeah. So then you don't care what other people, you don't care about the religion anymore. I mean, the rights of the Buddhists, not the religion. Whatever anybody says, you start not caring about it.
So actually there is one interesting incident happened that's explained in the, I think in the Brahmajala Sutta, where say while Buddha and the monks are traveling, there was another ascetic. One ascetic actually is talking ill of the Buddha, ill of the Dhamma, ill of the Sangha. Another person was there talking in favor, talking favorably to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. And basically Buddha takes these two extremes in a way. So what Buddha advises is to don't go and elated by hearing the confirming words. Say if someone is praising the Buddha, someone is praising the Dhamma, someone is praising the Sangha, by hearing that, don't become more egoistic and conceited and getting elated. So that is also not your task. On the other hand, if someone is criticizing, don't go and be worried and concerned too much about it. You got to maintain your state of mind in a more clear, calm, peaceful state. I mean, if you are a practitioner, so that is what Buddha is asking. Now, say for example, you being a Vipassana yogi, so you have arrived, assume that you have arrived a kind of a mindset, kind of a state of mind where you are capable of maintaining an unattached state of mind. So it is your duty to maintain that. So it's a kind of a verification in a way, a kind of a test given to you. Say someone is praising the Buddha. Are you getting extremely uplifted and conceited, or are you able to maintain the same basic level? On the other hand, if someone is criticizing the Buddha, are you becoming completely disheartened and even you lose the faith, or you become angry about that person? So both show that our mind is not stable. So very much like the responsibility has given to us. So from the Buddha's teaching, so he has shown the path and he guided us, and then we as practitioners, we ourselves have to experience it. So when we are experiencing it, it's a matter of continuing it, maintaining it, irrespective of what matters in the outside. So all what you experience from the outside are the conditioned phenomena, and they come and go. They are all conventional. And what you are experiencing is more than that. So what you are experiencing is very much like kind of an unconditioned state of your mind. You are not allowing the mind to become more colored, conditioned, interrupted. Rather, you are maintaining it more in a relaxed, unattached, uncolored or deconditioned like. So that is the state that Buddha encouraged. Anissita anupadana. So you are not associating anything in the world. You are not clinging into anything in the world. So all these incidents are in the world, isn't it? So I mean, if you are getting too disturbed about these things, so that indicates, okay, I am not yet established myself in the proper level which Buddha encouraged. So therefore, if someone is praised or someone is blamed, so you are not disturbed. I mean, they are still conditioned phenomena. So they are still playing with those different terms and different conventions. So you are not taking too serious about them. So these things are happening time to time, even during the Buddha's time. So many have even praised the Buddha and even blamed him. So this is not something uncommon. So in this world, so blame and praise is something natural. So you can't completely free from that. So if we can maintain our mind in a more undisturbed, relaxed, peaceful state amidst all these extremes, amidst all these ups and downs, so that represents kind of a maturity within us. So therefore, nothing to worry about these things. Yeah. So there are very interesting things. Actually, you can refer Sona Sutta. So Venerable Sona very beautifully mentioned that. Selo yatha eka ghano vatena na samirati. Evang rupa rasa saddha gandha passacha kevala. Ittha dhamma anitthacha nappa vedinti tadino. Titan chittang vipamuttang vayanchassanu passati. So he is explaining the state of mind. So we can refer the state of mind of an arahant actually. Selo yatha eka ghano vatena na samirati. You know, he is giving a simile as a very, say, strong rock. Vatena na samirati. What is that? From the wind, it is not being shaken. So it is standing properly with an unshakable rock. Vatena na samirati. Evang rupa rasa saddha gandha passacha kevala. Either, you know, beautiful sights, beautiful sounds, smells, taste, tangibles and thoughts, or the other side. That's a bitter side. Ittha dhamma anitthaja. Either favorable or the unfavorable. Both extremes are there. With respect to eye, you can see something beautiful. With respect to eye, you can see it's completely disturbing. So both extremes are covered here. Ittha dhamma anitthaja. Nappa vedindi tadino. So the thadi, the arahant, so he is unwavering. His mind is completely stable. Nappa vedindi tadino tithang chittang. So his mind has become stilled. Tithang chittang vipamuttang. So his mind is completely free from defilements, pure. Vayanchassanu passati. And he see these things coming and going. How beautifully they have put it. I mean, these things are discussed in a way in the Dhamma, very beautifully discussed. So these things, he simply see how these things are coming and going, coming and going. His mind is in a complete peacefulness. So very interesting. So in that way we can say, so Buddha's teaching and the experiences are so deep in a way, more profound, and all these, the coming and goings are very trivial things with respect to what Buddha has taught. So the path he's leading us is more profound. So all these minor things, trivial things, can't make any kind of a disturbance. If it's still disturbing, that means I am not yet arrived the path, arrived the full capacity. So that's why I am feeling more concerned. I am feeling, you know, agitated. I want to fight. I want to kill. I want to punish. Or I want to put a garland. Both means that I am disturbed. Yeah. 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 Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, you are doing it. With, you know, rising and falling, that meditation is the beginning of Dhatu Manasikara. It will take you to Dhatu Manasikara. So this rising and falling is, at the moment, it appear like more conventional object. Rising, falling, and falling. But later, so you don't need to use the terms. Rather, what you are experiencing is the elements' characteristics. You know, rising. So these are the movements. And say once you arrive the end, say you become maybe little tightness. So these are also element characteristics. And again, when you are coming back, you feel more lighter, relaxed, and other characteristics of the elements. And maybe you feel more warmer, cooler, tight or lighter. So all these things are different element characteristics. So the Dhatu Manasikara is the beginning of, the rising and falling is the beginning of Dhatu Manasikara. Yeah. Yeah.
Bhante, I'm referring to the previous question. I agree with all what you have said, but I need a little bit of explanation regarding once.
Regarding what?
Regarding once Buddha had to go in a procession-like way to Kosal, King Kosal, to protest against the Nigantas who were trying to build their ashrama in front of Savatthi. Mm-hmm. At that time, Buddha didn't just ignore that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also heard that this thing. But maybe he may have waited till the right time happens, but typically not. So there may be situations that Buddha interrupted, but very rarely. Now, say for example, now even the king, Vidudaba, who has assassinated the whole Sakyan clan. So when he is going there, so Buddha interrupted in a way. He tried to intervene and tried to stop once, then the second, twice. Then he understood no point. He withdrew. So likewise, there may be situations that beyond our control, they are happening as a karmic effect. Because when things are happening, it's not only the reasons that we see. There may be certain other reasons that we can't see. And certain situations may be available that beyond our control. Then simply allowing it to happen. So likewise, so there may be situations, so Buddha allow it to happen, and there may be situations Buddha interrupted. Now, one interesting question asked from me. So why Buddha waited till Angulimala killed 999? Why couldn't he interrupt before that? Why? True, but I mean, fine. If he interrupted even before then, so probably the other lives also could save, no? No, that's the thing. So that's the point. Yeah, that's the point. So we need to, we can't see all the possibilities. We can't see all the causes and conditions. But Buddha may be able to see all these causes and conditions. So he has to wait till the right time comes. So we emotionally think, okay, he should have interrupted when the 10 people were killed, okay, 20 people killed, at least 100 people were killed. So likewise we can argue. But we can't see all the possibilities, so that may be the right time. He has only attack or he has only interrupt only at the right time. So we don't have that capacity. So we see emotionally, we see more from the social point of view, and we can argue without knowing all the other possibilities, all the other causes and conditions. So therefore, our way of thinking is more limited. Our way of looking at things is more limited. So Buddha may have a more better understanding than us when to interrupt, when to participate, or when to come to the picture, and when allow things to happen. Beyond repair. Now say, just behind his monastery, Jetavana monastery, the Chuntasukara was living. He didn't interrupt. The guy was continuously killing pigs. No use. So he has gone even miles to help another person. Say Pukkusati. Miles by foot he has gone to help. But to him, no use. So likewise, even for Buddha, to get Buddha's attention, the person also has to have a lot of merit power. that is another thing. So why now when Buddha is looking at the whole world through the, that Karuna Samapatti, the supreme kind of a compassion mind, so in order for Buddha's attention to come to a particular person, so that person also has some deserving capacity. Not everyone immediately comes and, come to that radar kind of thing. So there is a significant contribution coming from that person also. So even the Angulimala case is maybe something like that. So he was killing. So he had come to the crux of it. So then only noticed. So likewise, you can't simply give a logical answer to all the questions. There are various things. You can't find a proper logical reasoning. There are other causes which also contribute into the matter, which we don't have the capacity to understand even. Okay.
Anyone else has any question?
Yeah.
Swamina Savasarai. We did the disciplinary, the training rules with you last week, the Sekya.
Sorry?
We did the Sekya with you last week. And I was trying to focus on the training rules on eating.
Mm-hmm.
So what I found was it was way too many to do all at once. I think there's like 30.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to focus on
something.
Eating and then not mixing the food until you finish swallowing. Usually you eat and then you're constantly like shoveling food into your mouth. But I found that it was very hard to do because my mind is like always on autopilot, trying to take in as much food into my mouth as possible. I tried to focus on one thing rather than on all the rules. I think you have to slowly build it in, like exactly. when you get used to one and then you do the not looking around and and I found that just being mindful wasn't enough. Like you need the Vinaya also. Like I all this time I thought I was being mindful, but I was being mindful, but I was still like eating very fast. But with the training rule, it forces you to look at the craving inside you for longer. So sometimes when I go into Dhanashala before 10 minutes before 12 o'clock, I can't do that. Then I have to eat as much as fast as possible. Other times that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah. So I think what you are telling is correct. So mindfulness in that sense has to couple with some proper morality. So otherwise, without proper direction, you can even kill someone and say that I killed mindfully.
Exactly.
So that is not the proper mindfulness in that sense. So Buddha has actually mentioned about Samma Sati as well as Miccha Sati. Pare Miccha Sati Bhavissanti Mayametta Samma Sati Bhavissamiti. Evang hivo bhikkave sikkitabba. So Buddha mentioned that the others may be even mindful wrongly, but you better be mindful properly. So therefore, mindfulness in Buddha's terms has some direction from the Sammaditthi. Kind of a direction is given. Aim, a direction, a proper guidance is given from the Sammaditthi. So what are you doing while mindful? So what are you doing is morally available, morally possible or morally acceptable, or what are you doing mindfully is not morally acceptable. So you are only supposed to do what is something morally acceptable using mindfulness. And as you said, so this adding the moral aspect at the beginning appear like kind of a burden, but slowly as the mindfulness also develops, so it also has the capacity to overcome all impure things and only to take the pure things. Now there's an interesting sutta called Nagarupama Sutta. So there Buddha mentioned Sati dovariko bhikkave arya savako savajjam pajahati anavajjam bhaveti suddham attanam pariharati. So Buddha refer mindfulness as a doorkeeper, and that doorkeeper, gatekeeper, savajjam pajahati. So he abandoned all what is unwholesome. Savajjam pajahati. Anavajjam bhaveti. So he continues or grows what is wholesome. So dhang attanam parihati. As a result of that, he conducts more and more a purified life. So the mindfulness has that capacity to purify you. So the mindfulness in proper terms is very much like a monitoring process that we are developing. So that monitoring process is always looking after you. Am I doing the right thing or am I doing the wrong thing? Am I associating the good thing, wholesome mind or unwholesome mind? So likewise, kind of a constant monitoring process is very much available when we are developing mindfulness. So as we continue, then all the unwholesome parts are diminished, abandoned, and only the wholesome part is uplifted. So you become more and more moral and more pure type of a person. So that is one task of mindfulness. So moral aspect is very much connected. Now, and another very interesting sutta is the Sati-sampajanya Sutta. Sati-sampajanya Sutta, Buddha starts with mindfulness and clear comprehension, and mindfulness and clear comprehension working together results in what? Hiriyottappa. Hiriyottappa is what's that? Moral shame and moral dread. Lajjabaya, moral shame and moral dread. And when moral shame and moral dread is fairly developed, then you arrive the proper kaya samachara, vachi samachara, mano samachara. You become more concerned about what you are doing, using your body, how you are behaving through your words and the mind. So everything become more and more refined into the moral side. And then it leads to the sila. So you can refer Sati-sampajanya Sutta. So it connects with the sila. So they are going very much hand in hand.
So the mindfulness helps keep your sila, and the sila helps keep mindfulness. They help each other.
Exactly.
I felt that as well.
Yeah.
One more thing I wanted to say, Bhante. Last time we talked about how Maitri Bhavana can help, like when your meditation becomes very dry, like if it becomes too dry, and it resonated with me. Like when you do, it's like too, I don't know, like nothing's happening, it's too much stillness inside, go to Maitri and Karuna. And it helped me.
Yes. So sometimes Buddha mentioned about Panidahaya Bhavana and Apanidahaya Bhavana. Say if you feel more dry by practicing Vipassana, and Buddha even asked to completely switch to Samatha for a while and become little joyful about what you are doing, and then again come back to Vipassana. So likewise, because joy is sometimes necessary to you to continue.
Yes, I'm very happy to be here in Kalalgoda. Thanks for bringing me.
Good. Okay, we have spent 1 hour. If there are no more questions, then we can wind up the session.